Just to welcome everyone, the return members, of course, and I will also ask Sujatha when she comes back. That is a really nice background. Let's see. So, other than that, there she comes. Oh, good. Hi, Sujatha. I was welcoming everybody, and you're our newest member now.
And I wasn't here because I went to get Eloise.
Here, so yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's very nice.
I apologize.
Nice.
I just can't concentrate with this dog whining about the squirrels. So I'm hoping she'll stop if I cuddle her.
Anyway, so welcome to the committee. I think that the outreach effort, in my view, has been always very good, not only from the committee but from the staff, and I don't see it changing a whole lot. When we get down to the reviewing the quarterly programming and all, we can talk a little bit more about it. We had a little effort at Burke Center on October 31st, Halloween, where we gave away some books to any kid who came up in mass. I kind of wanted it to be kids in costumes, but they didn't do that. But anyway, we gave away about 50 books, and then some people bought some other books. So we did it outside the library, all approved by staff through Jill Johnson. So we were okay, but we were able to actually remind them that the Friends exist and the library exists right here. So maybe that was considered kind of an outreach thing. Okay, so that's my welcome. Do you have any welcome, Jessica or Christine? No? Okay, let's go on to the approval of the August 2020 minutes. I took a look at them, and I think a couple other people did too. And they look good to me. Did you sent those out to everybody, right, Jay? Does anybody have any other changes or discussion on the? Yes, ma'am.
I move we accept the minutes as presented.
Thank you. Do I need a second on that or not? Yeah, second, anybody? Jane, how about you? I'll pick you. Okay, good. So we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the August 2020 meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand,
Aye.
wave or do something. Any opposed? Any abstain? No? Okay, thanks. They're passed. Boom, how's that? Okay, now reviewing the quarterly programming events list. This is the winter talking points, which I think you all got. Again, it doesn't show. Isn't that weird? I'm gonna have to knock off using these things. You got them.
Yeah.
Is that you, Jessica, doing that? Yeah.
It is. I'm going to make this bigger
Very
because
good. Yeah.
it's kind of shrinky sized right now. And if you'd like, Aaron and I would be happy to walk through these and respond to any questions and then add anything you all would like.
I was going to ask you to do that. Yes.
Okay, great.
And I think the first one personally is another good outreach effort. The Food for Fines. I was talking over at our library today with the library branch manager and all, and they're looking forward to it. At least they say they are.
We're hopeful. We're hopeful.
Okay.
So,
what else?
We are planning to continue with Food for Fines this year. And as I think we mentioned during the last either full board meeting or a different committee meeting, we have partnered the last 2 years with Food for Others, which provides distribution across the county. And they told us that they've seen a remarkable uptick in the amount of need, that they've had 3 to 4 times more requests than they would normally have this time of year. So it's even more valuable for us to provide this service. Staff have made some amendments though, because we really don't want our folks overly handling donations that come in or really touching a ton of stuff that we haven't had a chance to sanitize, even though we all go to the grocery store ourselves.
Yeah,
so,
I was wondering about how they have to be.
Yeah. So during a normal year, if you were a person who was coming in to remove fines from your account with donated goods, you'd bring the items up to the service desk. We would check to make sure they weren't expired or perishable goods or anything like that. And we're just totally eliminating that step this year. We're going to have donation receptacles available in the lobby or in a front entry place. People can just drop off their donations and we will take them at their word. So if they come up to a desk and they say, I dropped off 3 cans of stuff, we will say, that sounds great. Would you like $3 in fines removed from your account? We don't really know what the reception is going to be this year. I know that folks are, what is that called? They're panic buying again already. So they may be panic hoarding as well, but we're
Yeah.
hoping that our community members will be
But only
willing to
mince-
give to others in need.
Only mincemeat and cranberry.
I think what they really want are beans, pasta, sauce, and
Yeah,
staples.
these people. Yeah.
But
Cereal
the
is always good, and in fact, peanut butter is always a really great thing
Yes.
to donate.
yes, shelf stable items.
Stable items.
Yeah, and last year we had accepted donations of both non-perishable food items and basic household toiletries, so shampoo, tampons, toilet paper, paper towels, all those kinds of things.
So those things also include those like actual like hygiene goods are also, you're accepting those. That's good.
So we will accept them. Food for Others has said that food is their highest priority this year, so that's what we're really pushing, but we're not going to turn away donated items. So
if I could add, we did write a story that'll go up next week, and that does specifically list every item that Food for Others wants.
Perfect.
So we're trying to do a positive encouragement rather than say what we'll turn away.
Yeah, because we're not going to turn away anything.
Right.
We hope that people will bring in the good stuff, but you never know.
Erin, can you tell me, I apologize for not knowing this yet, but you just said that we wrote a something. When you say we wrote a something, where is that? Like, is that, I don't.
So there's
I don't
a
know.
news section. So I wrote it. There is a news section on the website that says news/magazine.
Okay.
It'll be there.
Thank you very much.
Great. Okay.
Suzanne?
Oh,
Good.
wait, okay. I just wondered, will you be, as somebody who goes and I'm still picking up my books in the parking garage at Fairfax. Will there be a receptacle maybe down there for drop-offs?
We were not planning on that.
Okay.
We want staff to handle those items as little as possible.
Sure.
So the receptacles are likely only going to be in the lobby or entry space.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
And one thing that occurred to me, this Saturday is the Boy Scouts drive.
Mhm.
And as someone who's hasn't been in the grocery store since March, my pantry is getting smaller and smaller. And I just hope that this doesn't mean other people are like us and, have kind of less excess food to share.
Well, the only example that I have recently is the county's Stuff the Bus program, which is
Mhm.
done collaboratively with the transit buses and many of the board offices. And they had a really positive reception. We had several of the buses in library parking lots, Patrick Henry, Centerville, at least one other branch, two other branches I can't recall right now. And they actually were able to fill the buses and then bring more in. So,
Okay.
and that was late September. So, it's been a little bit of time since then, but I think many of our community members will be responsive,
Yeah.
hopefully.
I guess I just need to order more from Williams the next time we do an order.
Any other questions about Food for Fines?
So if I could just poke in here for a second, Suzanne, one of the reasons we didn't think to put the receptacles in the garage is those boxes get pretty heavy. And so we don't want the staff to have to lug the boxes up, just to have the other folks lug them down. So it was really to save people's backs.
Yeah. Great point and a great reminder. So during a typical year, the library collects the materials, we send them all over to our technical operations center, we palletize them, and then Food for Others sends a big truck and they pick them all up on pallets. This year, because we don't want staff handling these materials, we've actually negotiated with Food for Others, and they're going to do direct pickups from our library locations. So we really want to be responsive to the fact that, these aren't even our volunteers that are coming to pick up these boxes.
Right.
So we're trying to make sure that they're light and easily accessible for them. Okay, I'm going to go down to the next one. Excuse me. Starting in January, we're going to offer an ebook of the month club. You may recall that when we first closed due to the pandemic, we took a lot of our collection development budget and we poured it into our ebook collection because we were not circulating print materials, and this was what the public could use at that point in time. And now that we have been reopened for a couple of months and we've had to reallocate and redistribute the funding between our e-materials and our physical materials, we have certainly found that people love ebooks and print books and would like as many copies of all of them as possible, but that we're lagging behind a little bit on our e-offerings just because we don't have enough money to put into it anymore. Our wonderful staff in technical operations came up with the idea of every month purchasing 2 unlimited concurrent use titles so that they're available to everybody. They're planning to do 1 adult, 1 children's or teen every month. And we have the titles picked out a couple of months in advance so that our staff can develop programming around them and marketing materials. The first 2 titles are listed in there. I haven't personally read either of those yet, so I can't speak to them, but I'm sure they're fab. And we're working with 1 specific publication company right now because we could get a pretty good deal on the cost per book. And hopefully this will be really, really popular. Erin, did you have anything to add to this one?
I do not. This is sort of an overarching comment about, I think the next 3 talking points is that my team will be working on sort of packaging them all together for January as all of our new offerings for January, you know, get your reading resolutions started off strong kind of thing. And so we'll start promoting those mid-December, maybe after the holidays. But we're already talking about what sort of marketing efforts, and there'll be something in branch, but that'll obviously be heavily social media.
So Erin, could I just follow up with a question?
Sure.
So we don't mess up your timing when we're sharing these bullet points with our supervisors. Do you want us to hold off on some?
Bullet points are fine. And I mean, I'm sure there are people in branches talking about some of these things already. But our coordinated effort, you know, December is a very noisy month for obvious reasons, lots of holidays, all of that, end of year. So I think things will get lost if we start too soon. So that's why I kind of want to wait mid-December, maybe after Christmas, to really start pushing it so that people have the bandwidth to pay attention.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions, suggestions, or comments on this one? Okay. Like Erin mentioned, oh, I'm so sorry, go ahead.
For some reason, I have lost your screen and I have something here that says new to working from home Zoom. So I've lost, how do I get back to where your, you know, the talking points are?
Are you in full screen with Zoom?
The Zoom thing is full screen and you know, we're in this little sidebar pictures.
Can everybody else see my screen?
I can.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Well, you know what? Yeah.
But if you pull up the email, these talking points were one of the attachments that came along with the agenda.
I'll take care of it later. I'll just listen. Yeah.
Sorry, Sheila.
It's okay.
Like Erin mentioned, the next 2 items are linked. They're both happening, you know, late December, January-ish, and they're both focused on reading and literacy because, you know, that's kind of what we do. So the next one is the Winter Reading Challenge, very similar to our Summer Reading Challenge. This is a program that's meant to be supportive of people reading and engaging with books over the holiday seasons. This one's actually a little bit behind like the FCPS winter closures. It'll be the 2nd and 3rd week in January. And we're really going low key on this one. The library purchased a new application called Beanstack that's meant to help us track registration and participation in the Summer Reading Challenge, as well as prizes that people reach milestones for. So this is our little dip in the pool to make sure that it works the way we think it does before we really launch it with the summer reading program. It is offered for all age ranges, the same as the summer program. And excuse me. And there won't be as many programs like for kids that we do for the summer program, but we are hoping that people will participate and read a lot of books over the holidays when they've got their free time available. The third one in here, we're still not totally set on a name for this yet. If I'm remembering correctly, Aaron can fix that if I'm wrong.
You are correct. And I
Okay.
checked today. So I would hold on copying and pasting this particular blurb just because it's name pending
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. So the goal of this particular series is starting in kind of January. We're hoping to do a series of online pre-recorded youth program events like story times, where we work with individual community partners to highlight different representative groups. And the launch for this will actually be the library's drag queen story time that has had some attention around it already. So we're hoping to do about one a month. And the same way that we do story times in person in branches, it's going to be people reading books, engaging in activities like, flannel boards and, finger plays and things like that. Maybe songs to go along with it. It just depends on what the community group is, where their interest level is, how engaging they are as a performer, things like that. We do not have identified fully yet the slate of folks that are going to follow after the January event, but I'm sure that will come along with the final name for this program. We wanted you all to have the information for it because we think it's going to be really exciting. It's meant to give us a pathway to showcase some of our community groups that not all children may be aware of, and to continue with the really successful virtual programs that we've had. We've had some in the past that are in person that are similar to this. They're not one Fairfax focused, but they're bringing in other community groups to help with story times. So we do, we've done story times with a cop before, where they come in their uniform and with their service dogs. And those are always really fun. The kids can kind of see a different side to the work that county staff do. We've had elected officials come in and do story times. So this series, similar to other ones we've done, happens to be focused around one Fairfax themes. TBD on the name. Any questions about either of those two? Excuse me.
I have a question. This new tracking platform, Beanstack, that is something that you would download on your phone or something, or like, what does that mean? Like, what do you mean that? Where does you find that? How do you engage with this? Is what I mean.
Excellent question. I would happily defer to either Christine or Aaron if they have more information than I do, because I think mine is pretty high level. You can log into it through our website. I don't know if it's an actual app.
I have logged into it to change colors and get it in line with our branding, so I can take that. Yep. It is just a website that so I am not sure that it's an app. It's not being designed. At least our staff is not using any apps. We are using it desktop. And it's just, you go in, there'll be a link. That's what we'll be publicizing, is the link. It'll be branded with the library, not attached to the library website or any of our channels. It is a separate sort of login. And then there are different sections for different age groups. So I hope that helps. It's been a couple of weeks since I've helped programming with that stuff, but last I saw it, it looked really nice, and they were really excited about it.
So it is something that you would find on the library website. It would take you to link to.
Yeah, we'll add our links when they're ready for us to publicize it. You'll be able to find it through our channels, but it is a separate platform.
Got it. Thank you.
Great question, Sujatha. And I think I probably said the word app at some point, so my apologies on that.
No, you
platform.
probably did not. I just wasn't sure. I am only assuming that it's me that doesn't understand.
No. It's both for you as a new trustee and anyone who comes and watches this archived. When we say that we're tracking information on a platform, we don't actually mean that we're tracking a lot of information. Yeah. We do not maintain a ton of information on anyone who participates. It's usually your name and your age, not much beyond that. And we don't do anything with it. So we don't sell anyone's information. We don't link it to anything else. We don't bombard you with emails. So tracking is a minimal use of that phrase.
Got it.
Yeah. Other questions on the Winter Reading Challenge or the TBD One Fairfax Storytime series? Okay. And then this one, I am sure you have heard us talk about before, but because it is, we just know we're going to get a ton of questions about it, and many of you use this, and it's an important application for us that actually is an app or a website, depending on which one you will go to. This is a reminder that we are transitioning all of the materials out of the RB Digital platform and onto the Overdrive Libby platform. This was not a choice that was made by our library system. The companies that own these two are merging, one bought the other. We thought this was actually going to happen earlier, but there have been some delays in the process. We provide materials both that the library has purchased and that our partners at the Library of Virginia provide across the whole state. And there have been some migration issues because there's different collections that go into it. The big thing that we're hoping you can help us spread the word about, because we know folks are going to get a little upset as this moves forward, is that the items in RB Digital right now are almost entirely downloadable audiobooks. And it's really good, I think, that they're moving to Libby because it's an easier application to use. It's more customer friendly, depending on who you ask. It's certainly where most of our traffic goes through. So we're hoping to get a higher visibility on the content. But holds won't transfer over, active checkouts won't transfer over, reading lists won't transfer over, almost nothing is going to transfer except for the collection itself. So we know we're going to have some unhappy folks along the way. And to kind of tag into that, we also utilize RB Digital's e-magazine section, which is partly procured by us, but mostly procured by the state library. Those will not transfer over immediately. They're still working on a solution for that. So people may be able to still access the RB Digital app, but they won't see most of the stuff they're used to seeing. Yeah, Jean.
So about how many, the customers who might get their holds bumped and everything,
Yeah.
ballpark, how many people are we talking about?
I don't know.
Like a few hundred or 50,000?
Between those two,
Okay,
definitely.
somewhere between.
I would say closer to a couple hundred than 50,000, because
Okay,
the
so
RB
that's good.
Digital application is not very intuitive. You have to
Okay.
really want to use the contents to get in there, which is
Okay.
partly why they got bought by another company, I'm sure. I will happily follow up after this because I don't know off the top of my head. Maybe Aaron or Christine do, but I'm not sure.
There's not a need for me to know. I was just kind of curious. And is there, I hate it if this is obvious, and I don't mean to second guess, but is there a way to directly email all of those customers with active holds to let them know here are the steps you have to take?
So there have already been emails that have gone out to RB Digital users, just generic ones. But the problem is more that if you were number 2 out of 30 on a hold right now for a title in RB Digital, when it moves over to Libby, you're not 2 out of 30 anymore. You have to go place the hold all over again. So then you're, like 60 out of 100 or however many in there.
Oh,
That's the real issue we're anticipating there being problems with.
losing your place in line.
Yeah. And we, as hard as we efforted on this one to try and find a good solution on it, again, because this wasn't anything we initiated, we didn't have a ton of bargaining power. And so here are the things that are happening to the stuff that you like. Part of the really the really yucky part of this, and that's not a great word to use for it, is our RB Digital collection is the one that was maintained with our with the almost 40,000 downloadable audiobook items that were concurrently available. And that's going to go away at some point when our current contract expires. So some of those are going to migrate over to Libby, and people are going to think it's a lovely day and look at all these ebooks and downloadable audiobooks I have now. But when our current contract expires, they're all going to go back to single use, single person. And it's not a bait and switch, we promise, but it is the end of our contract. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good heads up. Thank you.
Yes.
I use RB Digital principally for magazines.
Yeah.
I have tried the other two pieces, but and I understand that they'll stay on RB Digital for a while, and I'll work with them. It doesn't matter. But I seem to recall when you first got access to RB Digital, that what we were advertising was that they were older books and it was easy to get them. A lot of people could get them. There would probably be no waiting or anything. And that was my experience. When I pick a book to look at, it's, you know, some kind of a classic, perhaps. There's no wait list or anything like that. So I'm a little confused over the fact that there's, not that there's active checkouts, but that there's active wait lists in RB Digital. I didn't think there were or would be.
Yeah.
What
So,
changed over time?
so there was different content. There's some different content and some carryover content between Libby and RB Digital.
Yeah.
And the state library also purchases things for RB Digital, not just us.
Yeah.
So while a part of our collection was that really large bulk of items that had concurrent use and no holds on it, not all of it was. So there definitely are people in hold queues who use RB Digital. Not nearly as many as are in Libby.
I wouldn't think there'd be that many, so I don't think it'll be the hundreds even that you're talking about.
Yeah.
From
I mean,
what I've seen.
as long as you don't
online-
mess up my magazines. In that,
Well,
so
I'm
that'll
only
happen.
kidding. I'm only kidding.
To Brian's point,
Yes.
what I have seen online is people are not so upset about the holds and anything that's happening in the immediate future. It is when we say at a certain point in the future, magazines are going to shift over. That's when people have a lot of questions that we're unable to answer because we aren't driving this car.
Right.
And that seems to be, whenever that changes over, I am expecting a little bit more pushback and questions.
I would have to agree with that because when I started, as soon as we got the RB Digital, I jumped right on it like I do most things just to try it out in case anybody asked me questions. And I found that since I don't use audiobooks much, the magazines were what really mattered. I could get first run magazines every month, every week. They update. I got a notice today that a new, copy of a photography magazine I look at is available, and that saves a lot of money. We find in Burke Center, at least, a lot of people use the magazines, that we sell for a dime or something like that, because they can't afford subscriptions or don't want to get subscriptions. So I'm sure RB Digital is the same way. I could buy those subscriptions, but I don't have to because it's very convenient and it's there. And I think that you will get a lot of kickback from people who are using it that way. And there's nothing you can do about it. I understand that, but they may not.
Well, one of the
So
pieces
it
that
may
we
take a
can,
little push. Yeah.
one of the pieces that we can keep messaging about throughout this process is we're not getting rid of e-magazines. We are
yeah.
anticipating still providing them. It's
Mhm.
just the method that you receive them that's going to change.
Yeah,
So instead
yeah.
of the RB Digital app, it'll
Yeah.
be eventually through Libby.
Right.
And
as Jane said, we need, I think, to have people know exactly what they have to do. Even a young person like I, who's just so good at, and I'm kidding, but I'm being facetious. But I know I'm going to have trouble figuring out how to do it probably because I don't use Libby much because I don't find it particularly useful or easy. But maybe it is. I don't know.
Libby
So
definitely-
people will have to be.
yeah, Libby is definitely user friendly. It's it's got a couple less steps than RB Digital if you're an end user and you're going through the process. But we have some diehard fans of RB Digital out there, so we just want to prepare you all in case we get questions or you get questions or board offices get questions.
As long as we have the answers, I'm happy to answer questions.
Eventually, we will have those answers. Yes.
I know, and I know they don't have it yet. That's why the magazines are holding.
Yeah.
I
exactly.
just think I agree with Aaron. I think that's where the push is going to be, and I agree with Jane in that if we can identify the people that it's going to affect, if we could identify them individually and send them a note and say, okay, this isn't going to be real easy, but this is exactly what you have to do.
Yeah.
And if I
Move
could
your subscriptions over.
a shout out to Diane Cohen, who gave you guys the fabulous presentation about the collection at a previous meeting, and the rest of her crew. They were meeting with the RB Digital folks about this transition, and they identified a whole slew of hey, what are you going to do about this? What about it this? How are you going to handle this? And the RGB digital folks were like, oh, no, it's fine. It's fine. And then the RGB digital folks came back and said, remember
Oops.
that list of stuff you said was hard? It's really hard. You have to delay this. And Diane was like, yeah, okay. Well, that makes
Wow.
sense. So
That's good. That's good.
we were
She's amazing.
troubleshooting for the companies that are merging because we knew how complicated it was. And so that bought us a little extra time to message and get people ready.
That's good. Okay. We got to do it, like you said, but we just got to make it easier for our customers. As you know. Okay.
Okay.
Do you have any
is
other
all
things
of the
that
talking
aren't on
points.
your list already that you're going to add to this?
Not on this list, but I will punt it over to Erin, who wanted to share a little information about the print copies of the annual report, which we just
Oh,
received.
yeah.
Yes, we have them. So here
Yay.
we go. I think that's in front of my camera. Yay, there we go. It's real.
Yeah, I know.
My understanding, I'm new, but my understanding is that last year these were distributed to you all at a board meeting, which is going to be difficult since you're virtual now.
That's
So
true.
my question was sort of, we have them at the government center. What would be easiest for you all? I believe we have 20 copies for each trustee. And we were just sort
That's
of
a lot.
wondering how you would prefer us to, we can send them, we can have them here for you to pick up, we can send them to your local branch. I think those would be the three most likely scenarios.
Yeah. So Brian, if you'd like, we can either send a query out to the full board and just get individual preferences. If you all as a committee would like them all, and then you can figure out what you want to do with them, that's fine too. I saw your face when we said 20. You don't have to take all 20 if you don't want
Yeah,
all 20.
I don't need 20 of them. Okay. Yeah, I think, why don't we ask the board? Is that okay? Jane, you probably had, oops, Jane went away.
Yeah.
Oh, there she is. You raised your hand and disappeared.
You're muted.
Now you're
You're muted, Jane.
I meant to say I'll be right back, but I would, I'd suggest just sending them through the library mail out to the branches and then we can go pick them up.
Yeah.
But then again, I
That-
don't know if some trustees don't feel safe doing that.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I
we
think
could
easiest
provide them
option.
via curbside as well. That would be fine.
That would be good, yeah.
I will be right.
What, Suzanne, yes?
I put me down for 10. And if you want to send them to Fairfax, just put a note on there for them to call me when they arrive, or however long they want them to sit there.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll take 10 at Burke Center. Okay, and if they, no big hurry, I'll pick them up there. I do go inside, but.
Will there be a letter with it? Did you say this time? Last year we had a letter to go with it, if I recall.
You recall correctly. We do not have a letter this year. So last year there was a letter that came with each one that was kind of an introduction about this being the first annual report and why the annual report had been developed and what it was used for. And it was written by Miriam, who was chair at that point in time. We can ask Fran if she'd like to do that again, if you all found that valuable last go around.
I think it was worthwhile last time. I'm not sure that it matters so much this time. If each of us and each of the trustees in general, because this goes outside the outreach committee, so Joshua, this is everybody.
Remember,
If we're all tightly connected to our supervisors and have a point of contact, then I don't know that we can't, not necessarily write a letter, but get it to them and say something. The problem is getting it, if they're not in their office live, then we can't just hand it to them and talk about it. Then it does help to have a letter. So
Can I ask
I'm
a
open to
question though
anything.
about this?
Yes, ma'am.
So first I want to know what it, I of course I know what's in the annual report, but
Yeah.
who are the people that we're getting this to? If we have 20 or whatever for us, is it like, so say my supervisor is John Faust, does he get a certain number of copies that he distributes? Do I give them all to him? What do you do with it?
Great
I assume
question.
it's for information purposes, it's for.
So we do a very limited print run, and it's typically, having only done this 2 years, typically been 15 or 20 for board of trustee members and 5 or 10 for library foundation board directors. And the point is that you have these that you can distribute to people you think might have, to people that you think might be able to use that information. So you might take
to the library, like people
Yeah.
who are like fans of us, want to support us.
Yeah.
keep
So,
the
so
word
you
out
could
about.
you could give 1 to John and then give 5 to him for his office.
Mhm.
If you have other nonprofits you're connected with and you want to talk up the library and see if there's opportunities for working with them, you might give them a copy. The foundation tends to use them as they're working on bringing on new donors.
Mhm.
So theirs is a little bit a different use of it. And last year we did either the 15 or the 20, however many it was, because we didn't know what the distribution was going to look like, how many board offices might want to have it, anything like that. So you may do with them as you will. It's meant to be the start of a conversation.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you very much.
So I would say then that an introductory letter probably would be helpful.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you agree, Suzanne?
I do.
Yeah, I think I put little, when I
whoever
drop
is
mine
that.
off at City Hall, I put notes on them too.
Yeah,
I
I
just,
still have, I have one here that I kept as an example with Miriam's
Yeah.
letter.
Ah.
So now
And
remember,
her-
there is a letter from Miriam because she was the chair for the fiscal year at issue, and a letter from Jessica as well. So
that's,
So it
it's a
sort of
bit of a
explains itself.
yes, that is essentially, and it would be a bit of a disconnect for the letter to be from Fran. I mean, obviously, her tenure could be addressed in the letter, but I think that might be a little more confusing than absolutely necessary. But there are two, a letter from the chair, past chair, and a letter from the director in the annual report itself.
I'm willing to do my own little note. If the 2 letters are inside, I'm happy to
Yeah, of
just,
course they were last year too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Last year's letter, I have it in front of me, from Miriam. It ends with help us be a catalyst in Fairfax and support additional funding for the libraries. That's not really the purpose of this annual report, I don't think.
No,
I'm just
you could go
wondering-
either way on that. You want to keep it in people's minds so that when the budget is more
Right.
stable, you can go forward and ask for it.
Yeah.
But I think we all know it's highly unlikely that there's going to be any kind of new funding in the coming fiscal year.
Right.
Okay.
I was just
Yeah.
thinking that the letter might be more of a softer, keep us in mind type of a letter, rather than this one is really pretty directed at, advertising who we are, giving a lot of statistics, which are already in the annual report. I'm just thinking about, a different message.
Yeah.
I think it would be helpful though, because I think we do have some new board members.
Well, it is entirely up to you all.
And
what
new
you'd like to do.
supervisor, and new supervisor. So, we do have new
that's
people.
true.
Yeah.
Could we, could staff draft a sample letter and email it to the board members so that, oh, go ahead, Christine.
Well, I think Aaron's point, we would need a lot of specifics about how different that letter would be from Miriam and Jessica's letters, because I think I'm having trouble kind of figuring out what the purpose of the 3rd letter is going to be, who it's to, and why it's different from the other 2. And if they're, so we would be happy to do it. We would just need, I think, kind of specific directives about what, we're wanting to accomplish.
And
Well-
the letter from last year was at Miriam's request. So it was, now that Sheila has read through part of it, I'm remembering a little bit more about it.
Yeah.
And Miriam had wanted it both because the annual report was new and because it was that moment in time when there was a huge push towards requesting funding for more expanded hours.
Right.
So if you all would like a letter to go on top of it, like Christine said, we would want some more direction from you all about what should go into it, but we would also need to run it past Fran because would be her letter. Because she would be the
Well,
one signing it as the chair.
Unless anybody has an objection, I won't make it a recommendation from the outreach committee to Fran. But if Fran and Jane, you're the co-chair, if you guys think that everybody needs some sort of a cover letter or, or something just words that we can use in our own letter. Because I was looking at Miriam's again, and it says, you know, her letter inside last year said, thanks for reading this. And basically this one said, thanks for picking up a copy.
Well,
And then it has this other information.
my thought on the annual report is that it's not a standalone, right? It has to be part of a conversation.
Yes, and we can't do
and
that
so-
face to face.
Right. So ideally we wouldn't need any cover letter because we'd be talking face to face with a person of interest and handing this over to them.
Right.
And so, now that maybe this is going to have to get mailed, or maybe an email is going to come like to explain, hey, our new annual report is out. Now that we've got a couple new board members here who weren't part of this last year, I just thought if there were a couple of bullet points, not even a full letter and not a letter from Fran, but something that, like I could say, oh, that's a good idea. I'll include this in my note to McKay or something like that. Why are we giving you this? It's not, I mean, we're all grown-ups. We all know how to talk to people. So it's probably not necessary at all. But I was just thinking, instead of a full letter like last year, if there were just, a couple suggestions to guide us. Sorry, Sheila.
Yeah, I have an idea. So the annual report is a recap of last year, but we have been through almost a full year of pandemic, closing libraries. I think that you could do kind of a very small, short, not a great big long wordy thing, but a short recap of the things that the library has continued to do to be available to the public, because I think that the library's done a spectacular job with the curbside plus the limited in-house, the holds continuing, something that would kind of be very current in a letter that is not covered in the annual report. It's just an idea, and maybe it would be more for the new supervisors and the new trustees than those of us who have been on the board for a while. But that's just an idea of what it might include.
What do you think, Jessica? I don't think we need to make a recommendation from the outreach committee to have a letter, but maybe a recommendation would be to talk about it at the board meeting. And I hate to push things down the road, but really, if it,
idea.
does it make sense? Does anybody really want it? I'd be happy with a few bullet points, just like we have the talking points for other things. Cause don't forget, we have 23 locations. We have this, we have that. That'll help the new people. It'll help remind older people. I can put a letter on it if I have to. I would rather hand it to somebody, and I'm going to ask, do you guys come into the supervisor's office occasionally? It's up at Kings Park. I'll go and, give them some copies.
Yeah.
And then I won't need a letter.
I think that your best choice right now, knowing that we as staff had entirely forgotten that there was a cover letter from last year, is that
I have one here.
you've got it, and I've got one back in the office too, but it just didn't even
I know.
register when we were developing this.
Went into far more detail than I personally thought she had to, but that's okay.
Miriam had lots of things to share. What if, so you all are going to get both the print copies and you're going to get a link to the electronic copy, because like we've all been talking about, there's not as many people going into places right now. It's still a pandemic. So we can reach out to the board and let them know about the print copies to pick up. And when we have the electronic version ready to post as well, which shouldn't be too long from now either, we can include some bullets in the outgoing email. Oops, can you all still see me?
Yes.
You're frozen, but yes.
Frozen, but we hear you.
That's a great picture too. Can I take a screenshot of that?
Oh.
It's pretty cute, Jessica. Pretty cute. The longer it stays frozen, the more I have to laugh. So cute.
I hate it when Zoom does that. I've had it happen. It's like,
There's some movie where that happens, and I forget the name of it, Vince Vaughn or something, and he pretends to be frozen. So
oh, yeah, that's right. I
I
remember that.
forget.
And it's a-
I
it's a joke,
forget, so that his wife won't keep talking, yelling at him or something on the FaceTime.
Yeah.
What movie?
Anyway, Jess, you can keep talking, Jessica. Maybe she can't hear us. Maybe
No, I
she-
think she's gone. I think she's
She may, yeah,
really
she may
fully
have lost.
frozen.
You want to take over, Christine?
I
You
think,
know, you probably know what she was going to say.
I
anyway.
think she's coming back
She's
in.
Oh,
back,
there she is. Oh,
back.
we have
Sorry
two
about that.
Jessicas now.
Take a look at your other face.
I can't see it. It's just a big black box. It's-
Oh, there it goes.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Oh, God,
Okay.
no.
Anyway, we were
funny.
just joking. Yeah.
Yeah, go for it. I'm kind of a mess right now. So.
Okay.
What
so-
I was going
yeah,
to say
okay.
before I froze and then got disconnected was, am I frozen again?
No,
Nope.
Nope.
You're all frozen on my screen. That's kind of
Oh
fun.
my gosh.
So, and you all have lovely faces on as well. So it's good. I'm getting my part of this. What I was going to say was when we send around the electronic version, the link to it, we can include some bullet points that talk about things that have been happening lately and just the general reminders about, all of our libraries and services we provide so that you can use them if you want to, but it's not a full-fledged document.
Okay.
Does that sound okay?
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds fine to me.
We can do that.
Okay. Thanks.
I have such a joyful and happy supervisor that like he'll just be happy for everything that you tell him. Like John Faust is happy for everything happy that you tell him that's going on in the community. So
He is.
I am looking
Okay.
forward to the library conversation.
You have anything else, Jessica or Christine, about that stuff? No?
I think that was the only
Yep.
extra that I'm aware of, but
Okay.
Christine,
Uh,
anything else on your side?
I don't, where it says other items, I just wanted to open it up to anybody, especially, members new and old, to say anything they want to about outreach or marketing or ideas that we could carry on with. I don't have any particular. I think we just have to stay aware that of what the libraries are doing. And if somehow we end up getting shut down further because of this ridiculous pandemic getting worse up here, if the governor says something, we just need to know right away. Obviously, I mean, you're going to tell us, Jessica or Christine.
Yeah, Christine and I
So-
have been watching all of the governor's briefings that crop up. They're irregular at this point, so we just check his website to see whenever they're happening.
Mm.
There was one on, I think, the Tuesday before Veterans Day.
Mm.
And there was no big update, but I'm sure you've seen that Maryland has reimposed some restrictions and
Yep.
specific counties in Maryland have reimposed restrictions. Fairfax has not given any indication at this point about any new or changing processes. And we have not heard anything additional from the governor's briefings being anticipated at this point.
So I think we just have to know that, and that's fine with me. Does anybody have anything, I don't know, cool ideas, ways we can do outreach, given that we can't have huge live events, which of course is what I would like, book sales, festivals, jubilees. I love all that stuff, but we just can't do it right now. So if you do have any ideas and don't have them right now, I don't want to put you on the spot, please, let us know. Christine, I think, would probably be the best, because Jessica will probably be busy and, I don't know, awake 24 hours, 7, something, I know I got 4 kids, so I know what it's like.
Jessica's baby is going to sleep well and be easy. I already told her.
And hopefully love cats and books, right?
She
Like
better.
this.
She's not going to do real well in this household otherwise.
I'm so excited. I'm sure. you
Super
will.
easy. You
to
can already
see.
tell. You can already tell. I absolutely know.
Okay.
Jessica's baby.
But
I
anyway,
appreciate your faith.
I am
That's-
100%. You
So
know,
does anybody have anything else to share?
no, just best of luck, Jessica.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll hear right away when the baby arrives, won't we?
You'll hear me
Oh,
screaming
okay.
into all of Fairfax County. Yes.
I will very quickly share the great news.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Christine.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think there'll be a problem there. Okay, are you going to be at the next actual meeting, Jeff?
I'm planning to be,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I should only miss 2 full board meetings if everything goes to plan.
Well, you're coming back on December 5th, right?
I love how you keep saying that with such conviction in your voice.
It's in my-
What?
December
Huh?
5th.
Yeah.
You know
What
what?
does
Whatever
the
keeps
county
you
give?
from crawling under the desk will be
Yeah.
fine.
What does the county give for maternity leave or whatever they call it?
The
parental leave?
county is remarkably generous. So in Virginia, with family medical leave, you can take off 12 weeks, but that's with your own leave. And then Fairfax County offers 6 weeks of paid family leave for a variety of different,
That's very,
um,
that's
a
very-
variety of different needs, but you can use it for child
Okay.
care,
It's
child
improved
birth.
since I had babies.
Yeah, that was just approved in October of this
Oh,
year.
yeah, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we had our last two, my wife and I were both active duty in the Navy. And so she was able to take a certain amount of time off, but hey, she was a naval officer. She had to get back, you know, so yeah, it wasn't easy.
And do you have daycare lined up?
We are still debating.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to be coming back full-time, regularly working. Christine, I hope you hear me saying that. Yes.
Yeah.
But we haven't decided yet because it just depends on what's going on with the pandemic still.
Yeah.
How hard it
Yeah.
is to get childcare and reliable childcare and all those kinds of things. So we are playing it a little by ear, but we have some options lined up.
I was going to suggest I came back half-time for the first pay period. Think about that, you know, just because you're going to be really tired.
I'm already tired, so I
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
see that being accurate.
Yeah.
Just because baby is going to sleep well.
It's
I
either
love
going to be
Sujata.
I take off the
Sujata's so
full block
cool.
of
That's
time,
really-
or I come back on December 5th, like Christine says. 'Cause-
Okay.
And she's going to help out, right, Christine?
All right.
Mhm.
Is there anything else? Any other need to stay here, or do I have a motion to adjourn?
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Suzanne. Do I have a second? How's that? How about Sujata? There you
I'll
go.
second.
Anyway, so as far as I'm concerned, we're adjourned.
We'll see you all
Great.
Wednesday night.
Yep. And then,
got my
thinking
packet.
ahead to Thanksgiving.
Good.
Before I came upstairs, I picked up the mail and my packet was there. So
Yeah, my husband
Oh,
just
good.
delivered it to me. He
Ah,
loves